The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, conversing with him. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Rise, and do not be afraid. And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus alone. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus charged them, Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
What strikes me about this reading, as we immerse ourselves into the second week of Lent, and maybe it's because I myself need to better focus my own Lent journey to Jesus instead of focusing on the things that I'm doing for Lent, is the sensory overload that these disciples must have experienced. For instance, have you ever climbed or hiked or ventured up a mountain? I know that when I've looked down over the landscape below, there's this sheer sense of height and vastness. So let's put ourselves out there with the disciples who are up there on the high mountain with Jesus, who is transfigured before their eyes, his robes white as light, his face shining like the sun. Think of the visual awe of what they're seeing. And then appears Moses and Elijah. Moses, who fasted 40 days, sounds familiar, on Mount Sinai, no coincidence, before receiving the 10 Commandments and his mountaintop mission from God to deliver the law to Israel. And Elijah, the great prophet, who also, by the way, fasted 40 days before receiving his mission while atop Mount Sinai from God to anoint kings and the next prophet. These 2 historical icons are there with Jesus, transcending even time, as together Jesus, Moses, and Elijah span over 1,000 years of history. Just imagine the weight of mission that Peter and the disciples must have felt at that moment. After all, just 6 days before the Transfiguration, Peter had made his confession to Jesus, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. After which Jesus revealed he must go to Jerusalem. And here they are now, Jesus taking them to the mountaintop. And look who else is here, Moses and Elijah. The height and the vastness of the mountain, the light and the radiance of Jesus, Moses of the law, Elijah of the prophets. What a sense of monumental presence that Jesus must have held to these disciples at that moment. And Peter, in his heightened state that he must have been in, just has to say something, has to do something. Let's make tents. When behold the bright cloud, Jesus is literally shining like the sun, and yet a bright cloud casts a shadow over them, and the voice of the Father says, This is my beloved Son, listen to him. We can only imagine what that voice must have sounded like, perhaps felt like. Did it resonate through them? Did it fill the whole mountain? Because after that, that was it. Peter and the other disciples fell immediately prostrate to the ground. But honestly, who in the full presence of God could stand? However, at that very moment of their fear, that final godly sense or presence revealed that day at the Transfiguration, and one that could only come from Jesus because of his full divinity and full humanity. It says Jesus came and touched them, that final sensory experience of bodily touch, saying, "Rise and do not be afraid," to which the apostles raised their eyes to see Jesus alone. And this is the most humbling thing about our Lord. He's not only the creator of the earth and the stars and the heavens, who parts the seas and calms the storms, who even upholds galaxies light years away, but he's also personal and present, entering the world with us as a child, born of the Virgin because he wants to touch us. As a man, Jesus can be tempted in the desert, can suffer what we suffer, and can be scourged and nailed. But he can also weep with us, and walk with us, and break bread with us. And through his divinity, Jesus offers us life-giving bread, his body through the Eucharist at every Mass. Where through this Eucharist, Jesus not only touches us, but dwells within us. And also through his divinity, Jesus can come and say, "Rise and do not be afraid," as we reconcile ourselves to him through the other sacraments of the Church, like during confession or the anointing of the sick. So yes, Jesus is the light. He is the Son of the Most High, fulfillment of the law and the prophets, all revealed in the Transfiguration. And yet we know where he was born, who his mother was, where he traveled, who he spoke with and what he said, and where he died for us. Jesus in his humanity touches us, but through his divinity allows that touch to save us. And this is why, as we immerse ourselves into Lent, this reading of the Transfiguration is so relevant to the focus of our Lent journey. Because during Lent, I myself can easily find myself like Peter, wanting to do something, build upon last year's Lent, just do more. And this has been and can be very fruitful. But I'm reminded by this reading that the focus of our Lenten practices should relate back to that moment when the disciples, through Jesus' comforting touch, looked up to see only him. And that means removing ourselves from the noise and distractions of the world. For example, when we give up something we enjoy eating, we're in a way pushing that comfort food away and relying on Jesus to comfort us instead. Where we're adding prayer, devotions, and stations of the cross, scriptural reading. We're likely shifting priorities around away from more distracting activities like television or screen time. Again, the old activity is comfortable, but we're taking the time to focus on just Jesus. Or perhaps we're seeking sacraments to go to daily Mass or confession more, allowing Jesus to touch us in a way that only he can. And whenever we are tempted by the world to forget our Lenten abstinence, we should remember this vision of the Transfiguration, as well as God's Easter glory to come, and so be strengthened to quiet ourselves again from the world, so that each Lenten day we might find ourselves face in the dust, waiting to be touched by Jesus, and each day allowing Jesus to raise our eyes to him